What's up guys, it's Lodog here, and today I'm going to teach you guys how to make a round system in Roblox Studio. Um, Now this video is going to cover pretty much your basic round system. Like, I'll make other videos, uh, adding on to this game if you guys would like. And, yeah, so basically, we're just going to make a simple round system today. If you guys would like to make this for yourself, or you'd like to make a game like this, I'll have the code in the description of the video. So if you guys want to go ahead and use the code, you are free. It's going to be open source. I'll leave a link to it in the description. So I guess it's safe to say, let's go ahead and start the script. So basically, I'm going to explain everything that we're going to do here. I'm not the best at explaining code, but I will try my best here. So basically, what we're going to do, well, this script is going to be handling, the basic, the round, like, itself, like, the actual, like, logic for it, right? So, we're going to call the script game framework, because the script is going to be handling the entire round system, essentially, like teleporting the players to the map, starting intermission, things like that. If you guys want me to add on to this game, put some suggestions down in the comments. Yeah, so it's safe to say, let's go ahead and get started here. We're gonna get rid of this print hello world. And I just want to say, guys, I'm sorry I have not uploaded in like almost 2 years. It's just that I've just went through so much, and I'm gonna make a video pretty soon explaining on why I haven't uploaded in so long. I don't know if I sound any different to you guys, but it's safe to say, let's go ahead and start scripting here. So the first thing we're going to make is a variable. And this variable is going to be for our player service, which I will explain in a second. So hit service, players. Now I'm going to explain what this does. So basically, we're essentially just getting the actual player service, which is right here. And that's pretty much it. I'll even put comments in here. Players service. Okay, yeah. I think you guys understand what this does. It's essentially just getting the actual player service right here, which we will need that for other things coming up here, because we're gonna need to, tell the game to teleport the players, when and where, things like that. So now, so basically the whole concept of a round system is that it's an infinite, right? Like, or we could have like different game modes, which if you guys would like that, I'll make a separate video on that. So, I'm gonna show you guys. So, I'm sorry for not really explaining this very well, but I'm trying my best. So, essentially what we need to do now is create an infinite loop. That's basically, if you guys are wondering what that is, it's not that confusing. Basically, infinite loop just runs, it's something that runs infinitely. It's literally in the name. It's infinite loop. All the code inside of it essentially would run infinitely. And I'll make another video on loops just to clarify this up to make it make more sense to you guys. So I'm gonna show you guys that this is one of the loops. There's so many ways to do this. But I'm gonna show you the best method and what a lot of people use. So we're gonna make a loop called a while true do. And basically, I'll explain this so this all makes sense. So basically, what it does, while true. So basically, in between the while and the do, this is a condition, and in order for the loop to run, the condition has to be true. Think of it as like an if statement. If you guys aren't familiar with that, I'll also make a separate video on that. An if statement is just basically just like kind of essentially just like checking something. It's basically the whole concept of that. So yeah. So I'm gonna put a comment here. We'll call this infinite loop. That's basically what it is, right? Like I said, I'm really sorry if I'm not the best at explaining code. I think you guys kind of understand if. Okay, so now, basically, what we want to do next, I try to explain as best I can, guys, so I apologize if I missed some things, but I think you guys understood this. Um, Now, here's another thing I want to mention. Whenever you're doing an infinite loop in any program, um, you always want to like delay the loop essentially because what's gonna happen is this loop. If we don't, if I were to run the game right now and play it, my studio would actually crash. The reason for that being is because this loop is running so fast that it literally the program cannot keep up with it, and it'll just give a something called an exhaust timeout, which basically means like the program's like, whoa, something. It's basically just meaning that it can't keep up with it. So to add a delay in a loop in Lua, um, if you could either just use wait or I rec now wait. I don't use wait anymore. Um, because wait is actually old now and it's not really used anymore. I used something called test.wait, and basically all this does it's as easy as it sounds. It literally just waits. This is a built-in function that takes one parameter and it's a number, and that's how many seconds the program waits to run code. Like if so, like yeah, it's basically the thing. So now every time the loop passes itself, which is called an iteration, it's going to come back. It's going to wait 1 second and then just iterate again. So, yeah. Now, this video is not all about loops, but I'll make another video on loops, like I said. Okay, so I think it's safe to say, let's go ahead and start getting into, like, the actual, like, things here. So, we want to start, so we want to create a countdown, right? And we also want, right, so, in order to make another countdown, which is, you can also do another loop, which is a for loop. So I'll show you guys how to do that. So we do for I equals. So basically a for loop needs a starting number, an ending number, and an incrementing number, essentially. So what you can do is say for I equals, we'll have this countdown be from like 15 seconds down to 0. Let me just do that. Okay, so basically I'll explain this as best as I can here. Um, this loop is going to count down from 15. So basically this is a starting number, which is 15. And then it's gonna go down to 0. And we're gonna go down. We're gonna iterate down 1. So we can change this to 2. Basically meaning if this was like 15, it would go down to like 13. But in this case, we want to keep it at 1. Okay. So now we can actually do. I think we should also create a GUI as well, so just to make this look a little nicer. Um, we'll create a text label, give it a background transparency, and we will set the text size here, which is right here, 50, make it white, and then we're going to anchor point it. Anchor pointing means like it's going to anchor in a certain position. If you guys want more info on this, there should be some information on the dev form about anchor point. So basically, point. Also, when you're using anchor point, when you use 0.5, that's essentially like the center. This like box right here. That's like where it's gonna like center itself essentially. So in this case, we're gonna put this at the top of the screen. So I think honestly, we could do something like this. This should be okay. Maybe size it a little bit so you guys can see this better. And also, I'm gonna get rid of the offset. That's up to you if you guys want to keep offset. In my opinion, I do not like using it. And we're just gonna set this to 1, 0.1. And then we're just gonna scale this text to about 100. Something like that. Maybe even like a little bit smaller, honestly. Maybe 75, that should be good. And this is just going to be our default text. And I'm going to call, whoops. And I'm just going to call this uh, game counter. It's basically gonna display our game status and how many seconds until a round is going to start. So we're just gonna keep that as that. And then we're gonna insert a script in the GUI because we are gonna need to make this text label update whenever the server sends something to the client saying, hey, okay, update this whenever we iterate or something. So we could have that. So basically, I'm going to create a folder in replicated storage. I'm going to call it remotes, and we're going to insert a remote event. If you guys have not seen my remote event video, it's a couple years old, but um, I'll leave a link to that in the description as well. Or I'll even put a card up on the screen if you guys want to go ahead and check out the video on remote events and what they do. The video is a couple years old, but it's still accurate, so I'll keep that up there in case any of you guys are interested in learning about remote events. And I'll even go ahead and give a quick brief of what they do. So basically, remote events it's really simple. Don't overthink it. It tells the game to send something from either to the server or the client, or the server or the client to the server. I made a whole video on that. Like I said, that's basically a basic explanation on it. So we're going to create a variable for our folder for the remotes. Well, for remotes, so I'm going to say that equals game.replicated storage, first child, remotes. And there we go. We made a variable for our folder right here for the remotes. And I'm just going to name this remote event. Now, honestly, this doesn't have to be called anything. We could just keep a remote event, but I'm going to call it game updater. Actually, yeah, it's called game updater. Updater, okay, perfect. And now we're going to make a variable for that. So local game updater. Updater. Okay, there we go. We could say remotes. We're gonna wait until this child exists. So we're gonna say game updater, and this is gonna be this parameter is the timeout of like basically all this does is like it's gonna check for like this amount of seconds essentially. We're just gonna keep it as 10. This can be like as much as you want, but I don't recommend making it any higher than like maybe 25 or 50, maybe at max, but because the thing is with this, if you like if the object did not exist or something and like it would just give like an infinite yield. Basically it means like it tried to find something repeatedly and it couldn't find it. So now we're gonna do game updater, the on-client event connect function, which just means we're just connecting this on-client event to a function. I don't know, that should make sense, but okay. I think you guys understand what this does. It just connects the on-client thing to a function. Now we can just start writing code in here. Okay, so now we're just going to set the text. It's really easy. Another thing, since we're setting something from the server, we're going to want to put in text. Now this is going to be a parameter that's coming from the server. And this is also going to be a string. I think also, if you guys are wondering what this does right here, like, this is just like, the function just like, it just tells like what type it's taking. So it's a string. A string is like something like this. I'm like, text. So basically a string is like something in quotes. So it'd be like this right here. But yeah. And now all you have to do is just set the text. So what we can do actually is just say script.parent, which is essentially this, dot game counter, dot text equals text. It's going to be based off whatever we pass in from the server. So now we're pretty much done with that. And I think we can honestly, to make this easier for ourselves, we can just honestly just copy this over to the server. And there we go. Okay. So also, if you guys want to make this, if you want to call this floor something else, just make sure that you change it in both the scripts as well. But yeah. All right, let's safe to say, let's just go back to our loop here, and basically this is gonna iterate, right? It's gonna count down 15 to 0. And we want to tell the client that. We want to be like, hey, set this text so we could tell the user what's going on, right? Or the player. So what we could do is just say remote dot game updater, which is our mode event right here. And then we could just fire all clients. Which is basically what this function does, it's just gonna it fires it just literally says what it does. It fires it to every client in the server. Which this is also mentioned in my remotes video, I believe. I don't know if I went over fire all clients, but which is it should be in that video. If not, basically what it does, it just fires it to every player in the server. That's pretty much all you need to know. So do you remember this parameter we got earlier? This is going to be whatever we pass in here. So we want to say we could do a string. So we could say just something basic. We could do intermission, right? And then we can say .i. Now I is our loop variable essentially, and this is going to be like our counter. So it's going to be the number that's counting down, which you want to pass in. Send this to the client so we can set the text. So now if we go ahead and play the game, it will display the number. And as we can see right here, the server is sending it to all the clients. So now it is updating right here as we did in the script. Okay. Now, once the timer hits 0, it's just going to come back to itself and do it again, because remember we have the code in an infinite loop. So this loop right here is just going to repeat infinitely. So next thing we want to do is we should also probably make a map as well. I just realized that. So I'm just going to build a really basic map really quickly. So let me just go ahead and do that really quick. 50 by 50. Looks okay. Let's take a model part. I'm going to call this map. Alright. And now we should also give this a color. Let's do like grass or something. Grass, okay. Turn off my 2022 materials. There we go. Okay, I know this map is not the best, but this is just to for testing purposes, and you guys can also like build your own maps. I'm not a builder, but this is just for the video. We're also gonna need to make a spawn so the players can spawn. So let's go ahead and make a folder inside the map called spawns. Okay, we're just gonna make the spawns to the part here. We'll make this like 4 by 4. That should be okay. And we're just gonna put them around the map. Do like this over here. Looks okay. Something like this should be okay. Okay, that should work. Just for these parts. There we go. Okay, so now we're just gonna make them transparent, so that way the players, when they're playing the game, they don't see that. So now we're just gonna put the map in replicated storage. We're just gonna move it over here or something. Okay. So now, basically what we want to do is teleport the players to the map, right? So yeah, let's go ahead and make a variable for the map. Okay, yeah. So we're gonna make a variable for the map in replicated storage. Also, actually, I think I'll just, yeah, that's fine. Okay. So let's make a variable for the map. So local map, which is gonna be our map model that we just made, is equal to game at replicated storage map, and we're gonna clone it. So basically, cloning it, it just makes a copy of it, because the thing is, if we don't clone the map, so like this map is our clone map, but basically, if we don't clone it, essentially, it will only work one time, and because once we like reset the round and the map is gone, the map's gonna be completely gone. So that's why we want to clone it. So now we're gonna want to say if the map is a model, so basically this is doing right here is essentially checking if the map is a model. It's pretty straightforward here. And then, so if the map is a model, we want the map to be parented in the workspace, right? So we want it to be like right there, right? So we should probably anchor this as well. Um, so now all it's going to do is just parent it. So we say map.parent to the game.workspace. And now if we go ahead and play the game, it will start our intermission timer that we made earlier, which is showing right here. And it should spawn the map in the workspace. Okay. So we wait for our intermission counter to get to 0. And as you can see, the map gets printed in the workspace. And now we want to teleport the players to the map, which I'll be showing you guys how to do next. Okay. So, basically, I'll try to explain this as I can. I'm sorry if uh, sound like I'm not the best at explaining this, essentially. I'm getting, like, I'm losing a little bit. That's okay. But basically, we want to get all the players in the game and teleport on the map. Essentially, that's what we want to do next. In order to do that, we actually have, Roblox actually has a really cool function. I really like it. It's actually, yeah. But anyways, we want to make a variable, and this is going to be, remember that players variable that we made earlier, which is the player's service. So now there's actually a built-in function that allows us to grab every player from the server, right? What basically what that does, it returns a array. If you guys don't know what an array is, it's basically like a table. I'll go over that in another video. Um, an array is just like a list. I should just call it that actually to make it simple. So it's a list. Array is just a fancy word for a list in programming. So um, we're gonna we're gonna get an array of all the players in the game, right? So that's what we want because we want to teleport all. We want to be like, okay, teleport all the players to the map, right? So let's go ahead and do that. So local players table. I'm gonna call it players table for this example, just to keep it simple. And we're gonna say players get players. This is a function. It's like I said before. This function just returns an array of all the players. So basically, it's gonna return a list like um. So it's essentially like this. You have like a list. Maybe like this, for example. You have like player one. Let's say you have player one, and then you have player two. It's actually like this, basically. It's like how tables are set up. It's just, yeah, but it's just a list. That's all you need to know. So yeah, so now basically, remember how we covered loops? We want to loop through all the players. That way we can, tell the game, okay, teleport all these players to the map, which we could set, we'll show you guys how to do right now. I'm sorry if I'm the best to explain this, but it'll make sense in a little bit, I promise. So, there is a lot of different ways to do this. But the way I like to do it is make a variable for the number of players in the game, which basically this is how you get a number. So basically, uh get a you can get a number of things in a table, like which I'll show you guys how to do. I'm sorry, I'm not the best at explaining this, so I'll just show you guys. So we go local num of players, which is basically going to be the amount of players in the game. And remember that players table? So all we have to say is say pound symbol. This basically just represents a number. This is probably something like this. So you do players table. That's really it. So basically, this is our players array right here. What this variable is, and we're just getting the number of things in that table. So let's say there was 12 players in a server. And if we were to print this number here, this is going to print 12, right? Pretty straightforward. So now we're going to create a loop similar to this we did earlier, but instead we want it to be based on the number of players in the server. So to do that, we say for I again. This does not have to be I, by the way, but I just prefer to keep it I. It just stands for index, if you guys didn't know. we'll say equals our number of players. That's going to be our starting number. Actually, here's the thing is, actually, when I started at 1, so I started at 1, and then we go through a number of players. Basically, it's going to count from 1 to a number of players. It's basically that. And now, I'm not going to go too deep into what I'm about to do next because I'm going to explain this more in the table video once I make that. Um, so basically all we're going to do next is we're going to set the player's position to the actual map, which I'm going to explain this the best I can here. So I'm going to insert a dummy for this actually. So we're just going to insert an R15 dummy. And here we go, something like this. So basically every character in the workspace has something called a humanoid group part, which basically just like makes the character essentially. I don't know too much about it, but all I know is that it's like for the actual character to make it like work and stuff, things like that. But basically, we just want to set the position of the player because basically this is part of the player, so it's basically just going to move the entire character to the map. So basically, it's as simple as that. So let's go ahead and start writing the code for that. So basically, we're going to say our players table. We're going to do brackets I. And we're going to do character, which is actually the character I just showed you. So like everything inside the character. We're going to do find first child, humanoid, root part, dot C-frame. Actually, I'll go over C-frames in another video. So in this case, we're going to use position, which is actually fine as well. Well, okay, that was weird. So we're just going to use position, and we're just going to set it to our map's position, our spawn. So, okay, I just realized that. So, actually, we want that player to get teleported to a random location so basically, I'll explain what we're going to do. We want it to teleport to one of these spawns, right? So, like, we want it to be randomized. So, in order to do that, it's actually pretty simple. We're going to create a table of all those spawns, right? So, local, because there's more than one spawn, right? So, we want to make a table. So, local, spawns table. And, yeah, if this doesn't make sense right here, like I said, I'm gonna make a separate video on tables. This is basically an array. But it's basically a table. It's just the way the name of it is in programming. We call this a table. I mean, an array. But in this video, I'll just call it a table just so it makes more sense. Okay. So basically, what we want to do next is yeah. So you guys know how we did get players. So it's another thing called another built-in function in Roblox called get children, right? So I'm gonna make an example of this. So we're just gonna create a folder in the workspace, and we're gonna call it it can be called that. So basically, this is our parent, right? So we put a part inside. So this is the parent. This is the child, right? So basically, essentially, what I do is want to get all the children. Children are things inside of objects. And parents can have more than one children, like how in the real world, right? One parent can have more than one child, and that's what this is kind of is right here. This parent owns this child is in a parent. Makes sense, right? Anyway, let's go back to our script. Um, so we're gonna get all the children of that map inside the spawns folder, right? Which is right here. So we're gonna say okay, yeah. So we want to say map. Yeah, so we want to say children. So right, because this is gonna be all the children. So local children. Okay, not spell children correctly. I'm just gonna call it C for children. That's fine. And we could say map dot spawns. And we're gonna get children. This is the function. Remember, this function right here grabs all these children right here, right? So we do that. Perfect. And it's also an array. Technically, we don't actually need to do this since it's already an array, but I'm just going to do this so this makes a little bit more sense. So you want to do... Actually, we actually don't even need this essentially because this is already table slash array. So basically, we want to pick a random thing from this table, which I'll show you guys how to do. So we're gonna say local random spawn. Actually, we want to. Okay. So this is gonna be really confusing to you guys because I hope it kind of makes sense. But basically, every iteration. So every time we go through, I think okay. Yeah. So every time we want to go through the iteration, every player, we want to create a new random spawn, which I'm gonna show you guys how to do. So we do local random spawn is equal to. We could just say it could literally just be anything. Okay, no, so we literally just want to say C, and then we're gonna do math dot random. We want to get our number of children, right? So this is gonna be our random spawn. Um, like this is more like depth into tables and arrays kind of thing. So like I said, I'm making another video on this, but this is just our random spawn from here, right? So literally, also you just want to say is random spawn dot C frame. And we want to give it an offset so the player does not spawn underneath the map. Yeah, so we're gonna do we could do for that we could do a plus a vector 3 dot new. This is an x, y, and z. So since the player might spawn onto the map vertically or is it horizontal? I think it's horizontal. No, yeah, it should be vertically. I don't even remember, but it's we want to do it plus one or just one up of the C frame of the ramp spawn. I know it's a little bit confusing, but it should make sense. I'll show you my super to make sense. And then on the z-axis, we're going to put it at 0 because we don't want it to move backwards or from left to right. So we're just going to keep it as that. So now if we go ahead and test it, it should teleport the players to the map. Now guys, I'm going to make a part 2 on the round system. Like, like giving players weapons, certain things like that. If you guys want me to like even make a murder mystery tutorial, like a basic round game like that. So now if we can teleport to the map, and I think we actually got an error. Okay, yeah. So anyways, yeah. Oh yeah, I didn't cover C frames yet. Basically, yeah, we want to say position for this actually, but basically a C frame is the same thing as position, but in this case we're just gonna say position. I'll go over C frames in another video. So yeah, it errored because we were setting a position to a C frame, and we were setting a vector. So it's kind of confusing, but yeah, let's just now we can go ahead and test it out again. I think it should work now. But anyways, it errored because we tried to set a C frame to position and plus a vector, which it's kind of hard to explain. So but I think you guys understand it. Okay, so it's doing the intermission. It's gonna teleport us to the map. As we can see, it teleports us to the map. So now all we want to do is start the actual like round timer telling us how much time we have left in the round. So basically to do that, we can do another loop, which I'll show you guys how to do. So honestly, what we can actually do here is just copy this loop that we made earlier and just bring it down here, which is basically the same thing. No, nothing different. We're just gonna count down from. We're gonna have a new number, right? And this time we're gonna have it be like around like. Let's have the round be 60 seconds, which is equivalent to a minute, right? So basically, it's gonna uh, we're creating a variable for I. We're setting it to 60. It's gonna we're gonna subtract by one every time. I'm sorry if I'm not the best at explaining all this, guys. Yet again, it's just that it's just yeah okay. And then basically, we want to fire all the clients again, but this time we're just gonna change the text that we're firing earlier. So just don't let this confuse you. We're still using the same function. We're still firing the client. I mean. So now all we're gonna do is we can just say round will end in, remember I, so that's going to be our countdown number. So we can just say I. Also, I forgot to go over this as well. If you guys don't know what these two dots mean, it's basically concatenation. I guess I can make a quick video on that as well later on. But basically, it just like adds things to strings. Basically, that's all you need to know what they do. Concatenation is adding something to a string, and that's pretty much it. But yeah. So yet again, I'll break down what we're doing. We're creating that infinite loop, like how we made earlier. Like I explained it. It's basically code inside everything inside this code. Everything inside the loop. I mean, sorry about that. And it's gonna run infinitely, right? In every iteration, we're gonna wait 1 second before coming back up and starting again. And yeah, okay. So now, honestly, this should be the basics of the round system. Um, so I'm going to go ahead and test it out. Uh, Basically, we're using that same loop and as our round timer. All right. So now, if we go ahead and test it out, once we get teleported, it's going to do the intermission countdown, which is running that first for loop, and then it's going to teleport all the players to the map. And as we can see right there, guys, we have made a basic round system that has an intermission, and I'll make a part 2 on this eventually, where when the round ends, the players get teleported back to the lobby. We'll give weapons showing who won the game. We can add like different like scores and things like that. I just wanted I just wanted to say again, I'm sorry for not uploading in so long, guys. I just went through a lot of things in the past year and a half, and I will make a whole separate video explaining that eventually. Um, I'm just not too comfortable talking about it right now. But as you guys can see, this is the round system. That's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I just want to say I'm sorry for not uploading again for so long, but I think I will start coming back to YouTube here. I love you guys. I'll see you guys in the next video. Uh, and yes, thank you again for everybody for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See you guys next video.